The ghosts of Nelson's hard-won and eventually lost railway rest in a tunnel 40 kilometres south of the city. Cyclists will soon be puffing up the line decades after the last steam train did. Gillian Ratt, who heads the Cycle Trails Trust, says it's a huge milestone.
Well, we're at the Nelson end of the old Spooners Railway tunnel, and that was a tunnel that was intended to be part of the railway that would connect Nelson and the West Coast line at Anangahua. But it became the railway to nowhere.
Teams of workers with picks and shovels began digging the tunnel in 1873, and 20 years later it opened. But less than a century later, the railway that linked Nelson with the rest of the South Island succumbed to political and economic pressures of the time.
And with much local protest, and I guess what is now quite well known as a bunch of local women sat down on the track when the last train came past, and one of those was Sonia Davies, the trade unionist.
Gillian says getting the tunnel reopened has taken years. It's on railway reserve land, part of which was returned to local iwi under the treaty settlement process.
So a lot of this land is now Ngāti Toa, and they've also been very supportive of putting the route through here. So we've got a lot of support, Nelson Forests, LINZ, Ngāti Toa, but the actual detail of sorting out the easements and the legalities has been quite challenging and taken some time. And there's still a few loose ends that we're busy tying up.
The 1.4 kilometre tunnel will need cyclists to approach with a sense of adventure and a torch. Gillian says reflectors placed along the tunnel's floor of compacted gravel and sand will guide cyclists without diluting the experience of almost complete blackout.
But right in the middle, it's very black. Now you put your hand in front of your eyes and you really can't see. And if you're biking and you haven't got a decent light, it's quite hard to keep your balance because you've got nothing to locate on.
The Taste Tasman Trail currently stretches almost 100 kilometres. To date, it's cost $5.5 million, shared between the Tasman District Council, the government and some community fundraising. There's about another 80 kilometres to build to create a complete loop around the Tasman district. Tasman Mayor Richard Kempthorne says it's a huge regional asset.
It is a great aspect of tourism in Nelson, Tasman, and I think it's a tremendous feature, so I think we recognise that and it's a real benefit for us.
But it's unlikely the Tasman Council will step up its share of funding to the region's new economic development agency, driven by neighbouring local authority Nelson City.
Tasman District Council part fund that. We don't put quite as much in as Nelson, but we still have a very significant chunk, so that's to do with economic development and tourism, so that hasn't wavered. The amount that we've put in has reduced, but that's all to do with affordability of rates.
Nelson mountain biker Clinton Jones reckons the cycle trail is great for the region, but more is needed to promote it.
Nelson is really starting to become known nationally and internationally as a mountain biking destination, but we don't quite have the systems and the services in place to cater for that.
Clinton Jones says cyclists need more information on the possibilities in Nelson, and groups involved need to get together to work out a plan on how to improve facilities in the region. The official opening of the tunnel on Sunday will be marked with a blessing. In Nelson for Checkpoint, Tracy Neal.